Pleasure to be joined by mixed martial arts legend Cung Le. Very nice to talk to you, mate. We're catching up over a mutual friend of ours today, Dave Leduc. He's fighting on US soil for the first time. Only the second time Lethwei has been on US soil. How did you first hear about Dave, and how long has Lethwei as a sport been on your radar?
Um, I actually saw some sidekick footage, and Dave was kicking people in the face. So I took notice to him, and then I guess one day his manager reached out to me and asked me if there were some dojos around here for him to do like a seminar. So I reached out to a couple seminars, and then me and Dave started talking, and we connected well. We come from the like traditional martial arts background, and his teacher. Uh, I can't remember the exact date, but we met back and we talked, and he mentioned Dave back in the day. Dave was up and coming, and a very huge you know um, uh, he wanted to get into like the full contact realm, and next thing he is a king there. So
Have you managed to catch many clips from Letway or any highlights of what is your impression of the sport? It's going to be a traditional rules bout, so knockout only, 9 limbs, no gloves. You've got to put your opponent away to get the victory. That's going to be interesting for the American audience. How do you feel about it, and what kind of experience have you had so far in catching any clips of the sport?
I've seen a lot of clips, but this is going to be like the first that you know two man walk into the ring and one man literally will be leaving, right? So yeah, I'm very excited to see how it all plays out. It all comes down to you know endurance at this, I think at this level. And I mean, both fighters are very high level, but I think Dave's got that reach. He's got that natural flow from punching, kicking, knee, and headbutting. So I'm very very excited to be watching this event.
What impresses you about Dave? What sticks out about him, do you think, as a martial artist?
Actually, when I met him for the first time, he's very humble, great guy, and then he's very open minded. He's still open to learn, and I think that was the biggest thing about him.
Do you think America is open now? It's quite ready for Letway. I mean, we're in 2020, right? Wyoming's the first state to sanction it, so it
Mm-hmm.
could be now the beginning of something really interesting, because in many ways there's a sense, with bare knuckle boxing doing so well, is there a sense that this is the time now for something like this, where people are ready for a very pure form of martial arts?
I definitely think so. I mean, everyone loves the bare knuckle, right? So, and now like the MMA um, is the fastest growing sport ever, and now I think now you add this kind of element in, you have a little traditional. It feels more authentic, and these guys are the top of their game at striking, So I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Do you think the old school fans will be intrigued by this one? Because back in the day, headbutts and other things could fly.
Yeah, I think old school fans are going to be very excited, but I think there's going to be a whole new group of fans, So, it's right around the corner. But here's the thing, hopefully this whole country don't fall apart and have crazy riots everywhere, and then the event gets, canceled. So we'll see what
Well,
happens.
yeah. Well, let's see. How do you feel about headbutts generally? Is that something you used to train? Dave's very big on neck strengthening, And, you know, we've seen some of his headbutt videos go viral. How do you feel about that technique? Does that intrigue you?
I actually started implementing headbutts into my self-defense, because of Dave, So I'm that guy with like half my teacup is half empty. I know my knowledge, I know what I'm capable of doing, but I'm always trying to add in more elements and trying to learn.
Have you been able to share anything with him? You know, any cool spinning attacks? Because I feel like you do see a lot of cool spinning attacks in Lethwei. Have you been any kind of knowledge sharing both ways?
Yeah, he came down to San Jose. We hung out. I took him to Smash Gyms, and then we went to the back room. I held some pads for him. He held some pads for me, and then I did some step up back kicks, so he sees how I cover my distance on my setups, and then. After that, we ended up me and my wife, and then Dave and his wife. We ended up going to have this pho, Vietnamese soup, and then we just talked, and I took him over to my partner's Evoke Tactical, and then he got some solar panel bags and stuff like that. So it was more like we talked about martial arts, but we talked about life, we talked about where this kind of like what's going on with everything. At that time we didn't have a lockdown yet, but just the world we live in, right? So
Why do you think your casual fan should have both Dave, because he is the biggest star in this sport, and the sport of Letway on their radar? What do you think is attractive about it? What's exciting about it?
well, when you have all the elements of punching, kicking, kneeing, and the elbow, and now you add in the element of the headbutt, it's just, this is like some real gladiator shit. It's like these guys are coming in. You got the traditional Muay Thai, and Dave is like representing, like it's like two of the best, stand up fighters with the element of the headbutt. Who wouldn't be interested? I mean, you know, it, I just ever since I started working the headbutt, like just by hitting like a bag and then headbutting a bag, there's way more power using your legs and your body and driving off and then hitting with your like the top of your head or the dome of your head. I mean, it's another level. That's why there's Dave knocks out so many people with the headbutt. So
A lot of fans in Asia follow Dave's work. This is the first time. It's crazy that he's going to be competing in Letway in the US. His opponent is an American, Cyrus Washington, a really, really impressive martial artist in his own right. Dave looks so focused, though. So, do you think you confident of him getting the job done? How do you see it going?
of course, I believe Dave's going to get it done, right? But the one element about this, it's just like in MMA or any full contact sports, it can be all done in one shot, right? Whether it's a kick, whether it's a punch, whether it's a knee, whether it's an elbow or the headbutt. So, I believe Dave has the advantage with the reach and his aggressive style. Um, and then he's got that element of that trick where he throws the roundhouse and followed by the sidekick, and that sidekick is that he's very rangy, right? So if he wants to keep his opponent away, he can drop a couple of those, and if his opponent gets hit in the face with the sidekick, that's worse than getting hit with the cross. So Dave has a lot of different you know elements that will throw his opponent off, I believe, so we will definitely see. But in the game of fighting, anything can happen.